Namaste, sir.
Thank you for writing this wonderful book.
Thank you.
I'm going through my re-education. It's not easy. And
is the language better than the first book?
Pardon, sir?
Is the language better than the first book? I've tried a lot.
Oh, this is harder. The first book was a breeze because it's a first education. This is re-education, so it's harder.
Okay.
So I have a question going back. There's a Lal, Pal and Bal,
Right.
the so-called branded extremists as against the moderates. I wanted to know from you, I've been searching for it, I can't find it. Is there any evidence or any indication of their views on what was already a nascent two-nation theory? It was already emerging at the time. There's always this difference between the moderates and the extremists, so-called extremists, that whether you want Purna Swaraj or Dominion status. Dominion status, yeah. I wanted to know from you, I can't find it in your book as I'm coursing through it, what was their view? Did they want this country to stay together, or were they accepting a split, or they wanted a split?
Now, which section of the book have you reached so far?
Pardon?
Which section of the second book have you reached so far? Because I have specifically spoken of articles by Lala Lajpat Rai on him making a case for Hindu nationalism very clearly, because he was alive to the growing threat of the two-nation theory. And Aurobindo Ghosh, both of them, very clearly. In the book, I've actually given their own articles. You'll see that. In fact, you see, the call for partition hadn't started until 1924. But a call for a nation within a nation had already started.
Yes,
correct. So, in principle, two-nation theory could have led to two different situations. One is existence of two nations within one territory and being treated separately, or the creation of two separate states. So the first attempt was to accommodate a peace to no end possible to satisfy this nation within a nation. And that had already started receiving a lot of pushback. So much so, Lala Lajpat Rai is berating and castigating the moderates for saying, don't work on this mythical Hindu-Muslim unity, it's not going to work. You're actually feeding a monster. That is his language. Nobody wants to talk about what Lala Lajpat Rai's opinions were on this particular subject.
You put that in the book?
Yes, it's there. I've cited the articles also around the time period. He was so dead set against it that he swore never to speak in Urdu on a public platform.
This is the natural language of Punjab.
Exactly. Because he said this is not the natural language of Punjab, it's the imposed language of Punjab. Not just him. The Maharaja of Nabha is fighting with the British for imposing Urdu in Punjab at the behest of the Muslim League. Now, how do these voices ultimately move towards their opposition to the partition? I will know only when I enter the third book. But their opposition to the nation, let's say they are not opposing the two-nation theory, they accepted it as a reality. They are asking the Congress to not indulge and accommodate the call for a separate nation. You see what I'm saying? For that matter, among the moderates, Gokhale openly accepts during the discussion on communal electorates for Muslims. We are two different nations, nothing can be done about it. Accepts it. He bats for separate electorates for Muslims. In his correspondence, he is clearly saying it. In his cogitations before the Imperial Legislative Council, ILCD, Imperial Legislative Council debates, he is making this point. They accept it. The difference is, if you accept it, you will say, so what? You will not get a separate treatment. Or others will say, TK will give you separate treatment. That is the actual distinction. That would ultimately become the distinction between the Savarkarite position and the Gandhian position as you go along. One says, so what? Why am I going to indulge this here? This creature of Khilafat does not deserve to be treated specially with kid gloves, at least not in this Punya Bhumi. That's where he starts discussing the concept of a Punya Bhumi. And then says, how do you define a Punya Bhumi? Then he starts writing about it, because you see, all these people, after having gone through the Khilafat experience, say it's now time to be very vocal about this. Because you have actually, let's use Kamal Hassan's language from the movie Heram, Pachai Chediku Tandi Potache. That's exactly what he was referring to there. and therefore I might as well deal with it. This diversion, or let's say this deviation in their positions, will come later. That's why I've stopped it at December 1924, but the reactions of the others to the Khilafat movement will gradually emerge. And now you will see why the Hindutva movement became effectively a serious reactionary product or a resistance product of what had become the outcome of the Khilafat movement. Because now they said, now we have to stand up, because they were inviting the Afghans to invade Bharat, to dislodge the British. The Ali brothers delivered a speech in Erode addressing a significant population of Maplas or Moplas, specifically saying, I will invite the Emir of Afghanistan to invade Bharat, with Gandhi being present there. And Gandhi was being asked, how did he even tolerate this? Do you know what we are being told? Lala Lajpat Rai and Bipin Chandra Pal go after Gandhi to say, and even Madan Mohan Malviya is saying, what were you doing there? I am not going to tolerate the exodus of one colonizer for another worse colonizer. This is one of the reasons that the Ali brothers ultimately get arrested in Lahore for sedition. And during the Lahore trial, what do the Ali brothers say as far as their allegiance to the native country, or let's say the adopted homeland, and their commitment to the faith? Brilliant statement. You should read it. I've extracted his statements from his testimony before the court. As I said, actually you can't count me. So 1924, the stage was set. Now I can say the stage is set because I'm looking at it 100 years, let's say it's a hindsight bias. But the best part is, people in that period were already realizing that you're moving in a dangerous direction. And those voices were snubbed and stifled, just as they are being today. Hence the connection between the past and the present. It's a 100-year cycle that's repeating itself.